When someone buys a new house, they are always expecting the little surprises that may arise and that they will only notice when they move in. But none as exciting as what happens to the Harper family. But before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe, and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. The house stood quietly on Maple Street, its windows like watchful eyes hiding secrets behind their dusty panes. From the moment the Harper family first stepped inside, they felt it, a strange magnetic pull toward the old fireplace. It was almost as if the house itself whispered to them, urging them to look closer. Mr. Harper, a practical man, had brushed off the feeling at first, but every time he passed by the fireplace, his eyes lingered on the bricks at its base. Something was off. Something didn't quite fit. It was their teenage son, Jake, who finally voiced what they'd all been thinking. "Dad, don't you think there's something weird about that wall? Like it's hiding something?" Mrs. Harper had laughed nervously, dismissing the idea. But Mr. Harper couldn't shake the feeling. What if Jake was right? So, on a chilly Saturday morning, before they even went to get the keys officially handed over, Mr. Harper knelt in front of the fireplace, his tools by his side, and began carefully removing the bricks. Jake stood close, filming every move on his phone. "This is gonna be epic," he whispered excitedly, already imagining the views he'd get on TikTok. Brick by brick, the hole widened. Dust floated lazily in the air, catching the sunlight streaming through the window. Then suddenly, Mr. Harper's hand touched cold metal. He paused, heart racing. "There's something here." Jake gasped and leaned in closer. Mrs. Harper stepped back, her arms crossed tightly over her chest, anxiety building in her stomach. With a few more careful pulls, they revealed the door of a heavy, old safe. It was embedded deep into the wall, its metal surface scarred with age and attempts to break in. Jake zoomed in on the safe's face, noting 3 small holes already drilled into it. "Looks like someone else tried to get in," he said, excitement clear in his voice. Mr. Harper frowned, examining the safe closely. "We won't get this open easily." Determined, Jake created a TikTok account dedicated solely to their discovery. Within days, thousands of followers watched breathlessly as the Harpers struggled to pry open the safe. They tried everything: crowbars, drills, even a small spy camera Mr. Harper had bought online. Through the camera, they glimpsed tumblers in the left-hand corner, but nothing worked. Finally, frustrated and consumed by curiosity, Mrs. Harper researched the safe online. She found the exact model from the 1980s, and soon they called in an expert locksmith. The locksmith arrived, a quiet older man with sharp eyes. He examined the safe carefully, nodding thoughtfully. "Someone's already opened this safe before," he announced. "See these marks?" Someone managed to unlatch it from the outside. The family exchanged uneasy glances. If someone had opened it before, why had they sealed it again? After a tense hour, the locksmith finally cracked the combination. With a heavy, creaking groan, the safe door swung open. A rush of stale, musty air filled the room, and the Harpers leaned forward eagerly to see what lay inside. At first glance, the contents seemed ordinary: old yellowed papers, a small box, and some faded photographs. But as Mr. Harper reached in, his fingers brushed something cold and metallic. He pulled out a heavy coin, carefully turning it over in his palm. "A 50th anniversary World War II coin," he murmured, impressed. Mrs. Harper's eyes widened as she picked up a small velvet pouch. Inside, sparkling gemstones glittered in the dim light. But it was Jake who found the newspaper. At the very bottom, folded carefully, was a newspaper dated 1850. It was in perfect condition, almost too perfect. Jake held it up, hands trembling. "Dad, do you realize what this could be worth?" Mr. Harper nodded slowly, but something else had caught his attention. A small wooden box stained darkly on one side, as if with dried blood. He hesitated, a chill racing down his spine. His instincts screamed at him to leave it alone, yet curiosity won out. With trembling fingers, he opened the box. Inside lay an old diary, its leather cover cracked with age. The writing within was delicate, precise, and entirely in French. Mrs. Harper peered over his shoulder, her voice barely above a whisper. "What does it say?" "I don't know," Mr. Harper admitted uneasily, "but it feels wrong." Jake, still fascinated, urged them to keep digging. His followers online encouraged them, eager for more mysteries. But with each item they uncovered, the atmosphere in the house grew heavier, darker. At night, Mrs. Harper lay awake, listening to the creaks and groans of the old house. Shadows seemed to move across the walls, whispering secrets she couldn't understand. Mr. Harper became obsessed with translating the diary. He spent hours online, struggling with the French text. Slowly, he began piecing together a disturbing story, one of betrayal, secrecy, and a terrible crime committed in their very home. Days passed, and the Harpers became increasingly uneasy. The house seemed to close in around them, the air thick with tension. They argued more, snapping at each other over small things. Jake, too, was affected. He began dreaming of strange figures standing around his bed, whispering in a language he couldn't understand. Finally, Mrs. Harper had enough. "We need to call the authorities," she insisted one night, her voice shaking. "We shouldn't be messing with this." Reluctantly, Mr. Harper agreed. He called the local police, who arrived skeptical but soon grew serious after examining the safe's contents. The police took the diary, the stained box, and the newspaper, promising to investigate further. Weeks passed, and the Harpers tried to forget their discovery, but the house felt forever changed. Then, one rainy afternoon, a detective knocked on their door. His face was grim. "We translated the diary," he explained slowly. "It belonged to a man named Pierre Dubois who lived here briefly in the 1800s. He was involved in something terrible, a murder." Mrs. Harper gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. The detective continued, "The newspaper is genuine. It's incredibly valuable, yes, but it's also evidence. Dubois hid these items away, hoping no one would find them, but someone did decades later and sealed them back up, likely to keep the secret hidden." Jake swallowed hard, his excitement replaced by dread. "So, what happens now?" The detective smiled softly. "You're not in trouble. In fact, you've helped solve a very old mystery. We'll handle the rest." As the detective drove away, the Harpers stood silently in their doorway, watching the rain fall softly onto Maple Street. Gradually, life returned to normal. The house felt lighter, as if relieved of its dark burden. Jake's nightmares stopped, and Mr. Harper felt his obsession fade away. Months later, the Harpers received news that the newspaper had been authenticated and purchased by a wealthy collector. Its value was astronomical, ensuring financial security for the family, but the money meant little compared to the peace they'd regained.